Good morning, Aurora. Good morning, Aurora. Good morning, Aurora. The time is 9 a.m. and you are listening to and watching Good Morning Aurora, the second largest city's first daily news podcast. And this is Aurora weather. Once again, the weather comes from the National Weather Service of Chicago, delivered to you here locally on Good Morning Aurora. So a lot to talk about. As you guys can see behind me, we're in mostly red. That means it's going to be hot. How hot? Well, let's chop it up. Let's talk about it. So as we can see, hot and humid conditions will continue and periodic shower and storm chances will occur as well. Now, today, daytime high of 94 degrees with a daytime low of 89 degrees, okay? Peak heat indices will be up to 100 degrees, so please be aware of that. A 20 to 40% chance of thunderstorms and showers today as well. That takes us into tonight. Look at that, 77 degrees for the nighttime high. 72 degrees for the nighttime low, cloudy night, okay? Going into tomorrow, 96 degrees for the daytime high, 89 degrees for the daytime low, 20 to 50% chance of showers as well. And then tomorrow night, 73 degrees for the nighttime high, 67 degrees for the nighttime low, a 20 to 30% chance of showers as well on Wednesday night. Now, both of those chances in the daytime and the nighttime transition us into Thursday. Take a look, 95 degrees for the daytime high, 85 degrees for the daytime low. Now on Thursday, a 20 to 50% chance of thunderstorms is possible. A sunny day with some clouds. Now, it also lets us know that the peak heat indice, will be from 95 to 100 degrees as well. Thursday night, 71 degrees for the nighttime high, 64 degrees for the nighttime low. Now going into Friday, what do we notice here? Slight increase. 97 degrees for the daytime high, 87 degrees for the daytime low. The peak heat index as well continues into Friday, upwards of 100 degrees. Sunny day on Friday as well with some cloud cover, but all of that good stuff transitions us into Friday night. Look at Friday night. 74 degrees for the nighttime high, 67 degrees for the nighttime low on Friday night. And then Saturday, we go to 97 degrees for the daytime high, and 90 degrees for the daytime low. Now there's a 20 to 30% chance of showers as well on Saturday. And then going into Saturday night, take a look at that. 75 degrees for the nighttime high and 67 degrees for the nighttime low on Saturday. Let's recap. Today, daytime high, 94 degrees with a daytime low of 89 degrees. Tomorrow, 96 degrees for the daytime high, 89 degrees for the daytime low. Thursday, 95 degrees for the daytime high, 85 degrees for the daytime low. And on Friday, we can expect 97 degrees for the daytime high, 87 for the low. And Saturday, 97 degrees for the high and 90 degrees for the low. That is your weather report here on Good Morning Aurora, the second largest city's first daily news podcast. We have a great show and interview for you guys today. Our guest today is Dehghan-Paz. So don't go away. Let's get started. Good morning, Aurora. Good morning, Aurora. Good morning, Aurora. The time is 9:05 a.m. and it is Tuesday, and we are back. I hope that you guys had a fantastic weekend. Hope you enjoyed some Juneteenth activities, and hope that you had a nice, safe, prosperous, and fun Father's Day for all you fathers out there. Shout out as well. It's Tuesday, and we are back. My guest today is Mr. Ray Dehghan-Paz, member of community member here, and here to tell us about the medical condition that he has, to raise awareness as well and talk about ways to move forward. Ray, how you feeling?
Thank you very much for having me, Curtis. I'm very honored to be here.
Glad, man. How you feeling?
I'm very grateful to be here, to be honest.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
All right.
To be honest, I'm a little nervous. I mean, I've never sort of been in a formal TV show. So,
it's the first time for everything, right?
Yeah.
Daniel Calderon and DJ Omari, and good morning to you guys. All right. So, you are a King County resident.
Yes, sir.
Tell us about your condition.
Right. So, first, I just really briefly, I just want to sort of provide some background as to how I came to the area, because I came as a public librarian, getting a job, finding employment as a public librarian in the area, and basically, I previously worked in various places throughout the state. I have a master's degree, but basically, and so. As I was on my way to, continuing to serve our community, MD doctor's letters and other medical documents proved that I was severely and permanently injured by toxic mold inside an apartment here in King County through no fault of my own. And my life is at serious and imminent risk as a consequence of this toxic mold. And it was through, evidence shows that it was because of management neglect. Most respectfully.
And what's the name of the condition?
Oh, well, they've actually, I've been diagnosed with several conditions, which evidence shows that may be similar, if not the same, but one of the conditions, the most common one, commonly known as MECFS, myalgic encephalomyelitis, chronic fatigue syndrome. And I've also been diagnosed with multiple chemical sensitivity, among others. And those are two of the main ones, I would say.
And what's it like living with those conditions?
And I apologize. Building-related illness is another one. Okay.
Yeah. What's it like living with those conditions?
It's very challenging. To be honest, if it wasn't for sort of the support that I have. And I've also gotten support financially from friends, from especially one friend in particular. And if it wasn't for that financial support, quite frankly, I wouldn't be here today. So it's like, if you don't have friends, if you don't have any independent financial support, because it's important to note that there's absolutely no safety net for this whatsoever, for this devastating illness. There's no insurance coverage. There's no insurance coverage. There's no government programs. I mean, people like us are completely on our own, and it's terrifying, to be honest. It's horrifying, to be honest. And
have you met how many others, or what's it been like meeting people with similar conditions?
Sorry. One primary way we connect is through social media. So and especially Twitter has an active community of MECFS, and it's also similar to long COVID. I prefer to not, because I had this issue before COVID, long before COVID, so I prefer not to use the term long COVID because I think it's confusing. But I do believe there's debate in the community, but many people say, and I believe medical professionals also say, that long COVID is part of this discussion, but so that actually has increased our community and increased some visibility, but there's still some confusion out there. But I consider them our brothers and sisters. Although, again, just to most respectfully emphasize, I had this before COVID, so So these conditions pre-exist COVID, but again, that's increased our visibility because the symptoms are similar to what many would say is long COVID.
I see. The time is 9:10 a.m. Mary Fultz is here. Good morning to you, Mary Fultz. So what does advocacy look like for MECFS? That is correct, right? MECFS?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Well, see, it takes different forms for different people.
Okay.
And because of the lack of guidance, and the lack of sort of, there are some community organizations out there which I'm in the process of getting closer in touch with. But I would say that different people take it on differently. The way I prefer to take it on, and the way, because of the doctors that I've been fortunate and the people in the community that I've been most fortunate to come in contact with, I have found that I believe that, and not everybody agrees necessarily, but I believe that the indoor toxin issue, the housing issue, is central to this illness. And more and more evidence is showing that. For example, like MECFS, for a long time there was a debate whether or not it's purely biological, and there was a study recently done, it just came out, that shows that MECFS is completely a physical biological illness, meaning it is not mental whatsoever.
Right.
And so, for a long time, these issues have been psychologized, most unfortunately, and that's one of the main issues that we have in the community. But it is an actual, very real physical illness that impacts all the organ systems in the body.
Okay. When you have connected with there's the Twitter community, right?
Yes, sir.
So there's the Twitter social media community.
Yes, sir.
Are there any other communities for this that you take part in, or any other groups?
Well, there have been, like, for example, I did participate in a local community that was more around fibromyalgia, which may or may not be similar. I believe it's definitely related to this, absolutely, but it doesn't necessarily directly address the issue of chemical sensitivity. Okay. And that is what I would say is, more and more people are talking about how chemical sensitivity, the diagnosis is multiple chemical sensitivity. More and more people are talking about that because, for example, in The Guardian in 2022, an article came out and it was actually, I believe, a historic article where it said that multiple chemical sensitivity is real because in the past, to be honest, it's been questioned by major media. And for the first time, they said this is a very real illness. And so, and I'm most grateful for that. And many of us in the community were very grateful to hear that.
Okay. All right. The time is 9:13 a.m. Good morning to you guys. If you are just now joining us, we're talking to Ray Dehghan-Paz, who suffers from MECFS. And this is about advocacy and finding more resources and ways to deal with this disease. So what does the in a perfect world, what does effective help look like?
Basically, I would the best way to frame it would be in terms of my physician's letters, my MD doctor letter, because I have a recent MD doctor letter, and basically what it says is that that it has both a long-term and a short-term plan. The long-term says I need what is called medically clean housing, which basically means that the medically clean housing means that I need housing that is safe from toxic mold, safe from secondhand smoke, which is what I do not have right now, in fact. Although the doctor's letter also says in the short term that I need to stay in my temporary housing until I can find that long-term housing. And I know it sounds confusing, but I need to stay in the temporary housing in the meantime, which is still better than a lot of the housing out there because it doesn't have mold, but it still has a secondhand smoke problem. But what more and more evidence shows is that for the long term, we need medically clean housing, which means safe from toxic mold, safe from secondhand smoke. And there are other toxins out there that I probably best not to get into because I don't want to complicate the issue anymore. But those are two of the major ones, and also like fragrances and things like that, because that can bother a lot of people too.
So what does medically safe housing look like? Is there a model that should be used as a template? What's that look like?
And I appreciate that question. That's a great question. There still is, that's sort of the frontier. There are wonderful people out there that are working on medically clean housing. One person, the issue is, I don't want to complicate things too much, but there is somebody named Corinne Segura, and she's a wonderful advocate for us, and she's actually helped save my life. And basically, she basically is, I believe she is a lay person, but she has accumulated so much knowledge about toxins and housing and how to build housing. And so it's really about finding the right materials. But I mean, first of all, you have to have a plan. And so she knows some of the best builders in the country, and it's really about sort of having a plan for housing and working with physicians. There's a physician called Dr. Ackerley. She's in the western part of the United States. I'm in the process of trying to get in touch with of becoming her patient. But it's really about those things are critical because it's so important to have the right materials, because it's just so important to have the right materials.
What are those materials?
Well, see, and that's something I'm in the process of learning, because unfortunately, I've so much of my life thus far has been focused on survival. You know what I mean? Like that's been sort of, and that's sort of an issue, and that's sort of why we need the support. We direly need support from the community, because so much of our life is just literally like focused day to day. Like I have to spend so much time every day in the sauna, and I literally have to go every day and detox in the sauna for a long time, and I also have to just so much of it is like just literally like, and also advocating for myself for the financial side, because it's so devastating. And right now I'm not able to work, and also like advocating, also a lot of it is literally where I live, advocating. There's a smoke issue where I live, so we're often advocating with we're fortunate enough to be in a place where they actually will work with us, so I'm very grateful for that. But that's where some of my time goes to, is advocating to help reduce the secondhand smoke. And so, which I'm very grateful for the management for doing that. But, so it's like, but it's so much of it is sort of, where you're in survival mode, and also working with coaches and advisors. That's a lot of it too.
Okay.
And so much of it is also sort of knowing what to say and what not to say. That's, so you have to really walk a really fine tightrope, especially with the issues that I've had. I notice, because you want to try, the goal is to try to gain the support of members of the community that could support you.
Right.
And, so it's like, it's trying to convey it in a way that can make you be able to receive the help and so people to understand, because like I said, unfortunately, there's for a long time there's been a lot of misunderstanding about the issue.
I see. The time is 9:19. Maribel Gaetan, good morning to you as well. We're speaking with Mr. Ray Dehghan-Paz about MECFS and also building related illnesses. So in the next, now the lady that you mentioned who's out there in the western part, the specialist, who was what was her name?
Her name is Dr. Ackerley.
Dr. Ackerley.
Yes, sir.
Is that the next step for you?
That is one of the steps.
Okay.
Like I said, I am in the process of. That is one of the steps. Of course, that also requires money, and that's part of where the money would go also.
Would you have to relocate?
I wouldn't have to relocate,
Okay.
but she could see long distance patients, but that would be, but so she could see patients via the phone. That is okay.
Okay.
but it's like, but I mean, of course, that's really, of course, that's a drop in the bucket. I mean, like I said, I have a GoFundMe also, and is it okay if I say where?
Sure.
If you go to the GoFundMe, the place to go to is, and that explains a lot of my story. If you Google GoFundMe, and then mold injured fiance. So one word, if you go to Google GoFundMe, one word, then the next three words, mold injured fiance. And that's where you could, I should be the first entry in Google that pops up. And so that explains a lot of my story. And also, some of which I've said, but a lot of which I haven't said. And so basically, that explains a lot of my story. And so, like I said, it should be the first entry. It should also be noted we're in the process of also contacting the local major media. We've contacted all the local major media about the story, and sent them extensive documentation. And we look forward to hearing from them. We continue to remain hopeful. We hope that they will hear the story, because I really believe it's of benefit to all Illinoisans, and beyond. And especially people in our community here in Kane County, and you could also contact me on Facebook. My Facebook is Ray Dehghan-Paz, and my last name is spelled Dehghan-Paz, first name Ray, R-A-Y, and you'd be happy to message me. And we'd also be more than happy to answer any questions folks have, about, and we'd be happy to meet with folks and also share other documents.
How many people in Kane County suffer from ME/CFS?
To be honest, I don't know the number for sure. For example, like the Sun-Times had an article in 2018, and they basically said millions of people suffer from mold toxicity, which again I believe is maybe the main cause of ME/CFS. Is likely a main cause, if not the main cause, and increasing evidence shows that. And millions go undiagnosed, according to the Sun-Times 2018 article.
About how many people suffer from mold toxicity in Kane County?
That's and to be honest with you, I don't know the number, and I believe that number is really underdiagnosed, because I do believe that a lot of doctors do not diagnose it. Most respectfully.
We'd have to know it first, though.
Exactly. Okay. And so it's something that it's really cutting edge. It's cutting edge stuff. And so it's something, and I really believe it's a major cause of nearly all, if not all, illnesses. It has a secondary cause, and increasing evidence shows that. The more I learn, obviously I'm a layperson. I'm not a scientist or a doctor. Legal disclaimer, but increasing evidence shows that it's a major cause of so many illnesses.
Well, since we don't know how many people suffer from it in Kane County, it's not worth speculating.
That's true. Absolutely. I need to be very careful with that.
When it comes to associated, products and different treatments and things like that, what is that like? I would imagine that's expensive as well.
Oh, absolutely. For example, I have this the oxygen that I take with me everywhere, basically I have it here on set, and that's very expensive. I mean, this is like $20 for this bottle, and insurance does not cover this at all. And basically, like, this has helped me to be so much more functional when because I don't think I'd be able to, it required, like, what so many people take for granted. It required me so much work just to prepare for this interview, required so much work, so much more than the average person. And for example, without this oxygen, I highly doubt I'd ever be able to come and actually come and do this show. So it's like, this is just one example of the many things I use, of the many tools that I use that are not covered by insurance.
I see. Tracy Duran, good morning. And Jonathan Shively, good morning to you too as well. Fox Valley Hands of Hope. So it's 9:24, and we are going to start landing the plane I do appreciate the information that you've given us today. Now, people can follow you on Facebook, you mentioned. And then also, we'll be happy to put the link to the GoFundMe in the description of this video. The show ends on a positive note. What is your message today for the people of Aurora and Kane County?
Well, I would say I wanted to also just bring a little bit personal for a little bit.
We got 2.5 minutes, man.
I come from a family of military heroes, or of one military hero. My Uncle Danny, he's a U.S. Army Purple Heart veteran. And I've always wanted to walk in his footsteps. I mean, of course, I'm a civilian. So and I'm speaking in terms of civilian. As a civilian, I've always appreciated the idea of service, and when I was healthy, I dedicated my life to service to our community, to our state, and beyond. And so, what the message I'd like to say is that if I can actually someday get that medically clean housing, I would do everything I could to serve our community in the best way I know how, and serve our country and beyond. So I just wanted to say that I'd be most grateful for the assistance, and I'm just so grateful to be on this show.
Well, we're glad to have you. We do, for many of the listeners, you guys know that the show exists to help people.
Yes, sir.
So I do hope that you or someone someone else who suffers from MECFS can see this information, appreciate the information, and if you or someone you know has a way to help or assist, we encourage you to get involved, let your voice be known, or also share your resources. I want to say thank you very much to Ray for coming on to the show today. Now we're going to, go ahead.
Thank you so very much.
No doubt, man, no doubt. 9:27 is the time. Julia Lindbergh is here. So with that, what I'd like you to do is I'd like you to remember that it's not just us going through things. There's other people going through different stories and different things as well. So let's not be so closed-minded. Let's remember that the rest of the world is going through issues as well. So right now, that is it for Good Morning Aurora. Hey, Julia. Right now, we're going to go to a commercial, and then Good Morning Aurora is going to wrap it up for the day, and then Buenos Dias Aurora is going to start. So don't go away. Well, actually, you're going to go away from this page to the next one. So, stay tuned. It's like a house. You're just going to leave the bedroom and go to the kitchen, right? All right. Take care of yourself and each other.
Not your bank's top priority? Here at Wintrust, we take a different approach to banking. No hidden fees or runarounds, but a true banking partner focused on your unique financial goals. Whether you're opening your first account, found your dream home, planning for the future, or starting a business, we have the financial solutions to get you there. Stop settling and start experiencing a better way to bank. Wintrust, different approach, better results.